we first have Jimmy Chiu from Sanofi to give us the perspective from the sponsor. So Jimmy currently is a team manager of Southeast Asia Clinical Study Unit, and his primary responsibility is to manage clinical operations for early phase registration as well as medical affairs studies of Sanofi key therapeutic areas, including diabetes, oncology, cardiovascular diseases, immunology, and rare diseases in Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. He successfully brought in several global early phase studies to the Southeast Asia countries and established 3 premier sites for Sanofi Global Investigator Network in Taiwan. And together with premier sites, his team achieved global first site initiation and global first patient in for phase 1 oncology study in Taiwan. And he has more than 12 years of experience in pharmaceutical industry prior to his current role in clinical operations. And he also has extensive experience in medical affairs, commercial, strategic communications, and project coordination. So please.
Okay, Shirley, thanks for the introduction. And sorry about my voice because I got the cold. So maybe the microphone need to be sterilized after I use. Yeah. And just add on to that, actually for that phase 1 oncology study, it's not only achieved the global first patient in, actually the first 3 patients in. The 4th patient would be Italy. Before that, all the patients are recruited by Taiwan. So we are quite happy about that. And today, when they assigned me this topic, how to become a destination of a choice or clinical trial, the funny thing is, the things I'm going to say, basically, I think more than 90% has been mentioned or addressed by all the other speakers. But since I already prepared a slide, so just bear with me for a few minutes, I still will take you through my slides. Okay, so how the sponsor will define the preferred destination? Of course, that the startup timeline, recruitment, or quality has been addressed many times by all different speakers. For the startup, of course, we want to study can be initiated as soon as possible. After the site is initiated, then we want to recruit as many patients as possible. And after that, the quality will come into the consideration. As our recent experience, one of the respiratory disease trial, we recruit about 25 patients in Taiwan and 25 patients in Thailand. And then we recruit, it's with the same site, same number of the site, but we recruit 125 patients in Philippines. So for Philippines, actually, that in terms of the recruitment, that's a very good place to go. However, if you take the quality into consideration, we spend a lot of time to clean the data. So if you can save time on the startup, and you can recruit a lot of patients, but you need to spend a lot of time on the data cleaning, I don't think that that's a point that we will place the clinical trial for that destination. And the last things that, but not the least, I would like to talk about is the standardization. So for the quick startup, there are 3 major components for the startup. During the startup, it's submission document preparation, and then the protocol or ICF, patient informed consent form review and approval, and then the contract negotiation. I think the very key things for to reach the quick startup is the feedback timeline commitments. I think for the Professor Zhao or the other speaker has mentioned that there's some joint organization like a CRB. They always give you the commitment to, okay, I will provide the feedback within 2 weeks or within 10 working days. And that's a very good example to enable sponsor to have a better plan or strategy how we are going to do about that. One of the experience is that we submit the study package to one of the sites in Philippines. And when we just have a monthly project meeting, we have the project manager to say, okay, what's the outcome now? And they just go to a site to check. The feedback, they always say, okay, you just wait. If we have any answer, we will just, or any questions, we will just inform you. And after a year, site just told us, sorry, we lost your documents during the move in the office. It's like, okay, there's nothing we can do. We can only just do the resubmission. And now it's another 2 months. We are still waiting for the feedback. So I think for feedback timeline commitment, it's very important for the quick startup. And other things has been mentioned is like a master service agreement. That would be easier for us to during the contract negotiation, if we have the master service agreement, we can just issue a work order. They can speed up the process and to initiate the sites. And I know for some of the hospitals, they don't like to have a master service agreement, but at least if we can have some master contract template, like all the clause has been fixed, so you just need to insert some different information for the different study, like how many patients you are going to recruit, how much the budget is. I think that will be very helpful, to have a quicker startup. And in addition to that, of course, the investigator and study coordinator support is very important. Sometimes during the submission document preparation, we require the investigator a signature. We found some of the sites very easy that we just send them and the next day we can collect the document. But for some of the physicians, actually they are very busy, especially when we want to collaborate. They are very famous doctor, the very senior professor. They are not only take care of the patient, they have the administration's work need to do. They also have so many things. So I think for the investigator and study coordinator support for the whole process is very important to ensure the startup can be complete as soon as possible. And after site is initiated, they will come to recruitment. Of course, take the nature of the study into a consideration. That's something we cannot change, like the disease prevalence. Of course, some of disease, as we mentioned, that the hepatitis B, or that is a very high prevalence in Taiwan, but it is very hard for us to, to compete with the Western Europe country to get the multiple sclerosis trial to be conducted in Asia, because the disease prevalence is significantly different. So that's the nature of the study. That's something we cannot change. But for sometimes, for some hospital, they will have some specialty. For Taiwan, most of the hospital, I would say more than 95 or 98%, actually the general hospital. Unlike the other country, they might have, like in Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, they have like a pulmonary disease hospital or a national cancer center or a skin center. We can place like atopic dermatitis trial in those special hospital. So that would be the advantage if your hospital have some specialty to let the sponsor know, okay, we harbor the most of the patient. You can just come here to conduct the clinical trial. And next is feasibility accuracy. That has been addressed as well. In Taiwan, most of the physician, because of our healthcare system, everyone needs to take care of more than 100 patients a day. It's unlike Hong Kong. For Hong Kong, if you are in a hospital, university hospital or medical center, that you don't need to take care more than 20 patients a day. So you have so many time to do the research. But for Taiwan, they always think about, okay, if you are coming to me to ask a feasibility questionnaire, I just use my, not imagination, impression to fill out the form. It's like, okay, I take care of like 20,000 patients a year. You just ask me to recruit like 5 patients. How can I achieve? But the recent example is that one of the hospitals in Taiwan, that's a key center for this disease area, they do take care more than 20,000 patients a year. And we just asked the investigator to recruit 8 patients. And at the very beginning, during the contract negotiation, the investigator said, what? I should recruit more than 20, that's without a problem. Maybe the first month I can achieve 20 patients. Can you just have a guess, after 1.5 years, how many patients they recruit? No, it's a 0. Because they just think about, okay, I have so many this type of patient, how can I not achieve this number? But in fact, if you look very carefully into the recruitment criteria, actually the eligibility, they will become very difficult. And next thing is a trial number. Here, I would like to say it's more like a resources. The sponsor always go to those famous doctor. So as we talk about how to develop the younger generation, but for those not only famous doctor, also the famous hospital, like for example, National Taiwan University, everyone want to collaborate with them. If they have 100 patients and have a 100 trial, that means you can only recruit 1 patient for a trial. So I think for a sponsor, it's always very good if we can explore, the more potential trial. But on the other hand, we had this discussion during the lunch. How can we develop those younger generation, or those hospitals that haven't had the clinical trial experience? And next thing is what can you improve? That has been addressed, so I won't spend too much time on that. Like a referral, like networking, how can you get as many patients as possible? And here it's, that has been addressed as well. There are, I think nowadays everyone have the smartphone. And in Taiwan, that's more than 95% of the population can access to internet. I think you and me possibly the same. Always if you encounter something you don't know, the first thing you will do is you Google it. So that's the way we just obtain the information. So there are so many digital companies, they try to establish the different platform to attract more patients or facilitate all the process. That some of the vendors has been mentioned or just earlier, so I won't spend too much time on that. So they can significantly help the patient recruitment. And here I would like to mention that actually that has been raised just now. For the online recruitment in the US or the Italy, the example I share here, they have the site to list down the clinical trial information. So patient can actively go to a site to search for the suitable clinical trial for that patient, for him or for her, that currently treatment cannot meet his or her, I would say, disease. So you can just go there to see if any new drug that can help you, and then you can contact the site and join the study. And I think this is mentioned earlier today that for Taiwan, actually we have this site developed by CDE. It's Chief Executive Director already left. Actually, I want to share this today. It's quite a pity. It's, for Taiwan, as Professor Zhao mentioned, that it's more than 500 or 600 clinical trials a year, and only 7 trials listed in this website. So basically, I think they require more exposure. Or the CDE can do some promotion. Of course, for sponsor side, that's by regulation, we cannot do that. If we can attract more patients through this channel, I think that would be quite helpful. It's also helpful for patients. They can see if for today I cannot get the treatment that can treat my disease, okay, maybe there's a hope I can find a trial suitable for me. This comes to the quality. I think that's a very important thing is about the investigator devotion. There's an example, is one of our trial, the Southeast Asia top recruiter is in Thailand, that he recruited 25 patients for the cardiovascular disease. And when I just went down, that's about 5 hours drive away from the Bangkok. When I went down to visit him in person, why we do that is because we want to offer him the study coordinator. And he said no, because he doesn't trust anyone. He only trusts himself. So he does the drug management, IMP management by himself, the records, the monitoring. Basically, he does everything by himself. Of course, I didn't say that. I won't want to say that, okay, that's a good investigator, because actually you need to properly delegate those tasks to the other person, otherwise you will be too busy. But the devotion of the investigator to the trial or the study coordinator or the site, the devotion is very important to ensure the good quality. And also the data integrity. And apart from the investigator, that's a very key department in the hospital is pharmacy, because they will help you to manage the IMP investigational medicine products. So the site facility, how to manage the study drug, they will affect the study quality as well. And then things is one of the examples I would like to show is why the quality is even more important, because the risk-based monitoring has been widely applied. So in the future, the on-site monitoring just will be less frequently, and unless there's a risk signal has been detected. But also, if your site that has been detected so many risks, in the future there will be a bad record that the sponsor won't choose you, because when we think about yours made a mistake. So I think it's a very important thing and new initiative in the future. I think they will be widely used very soon. And next is standardization. If everyone is old enough, live longer enough, you will know the metric, because it's on about the 1919, so it's about 19 years ago. There's a movie. At the time, I think for Nokia phone, everyone wanted to have one. But now it's almost disappeared. And they just analyze what's the major reason is operation system. Because at the very beginning, the Nokia tried to develop their own operation system called Symbian. And then they tried to develop a new one called Migo. But actually, it's very hard for the app developer to use the operation system to develop the proper software for them. So at the end, they decided to join the Windows. It's like a bigger group. But however, as you know, nowadays there's only have two operating systems still alive. It's iOS developed by Apple, and another is Android developed by Google. So you can see how important standardization that the system you use and match the international or match the majority of people that use. So here is some example like Transliterate. We have some, say many times, they have some template. If in the future everyone can just use the same template, I think they can facilitate. And here's some of the examples in Taiwan. For some hospital, they also have their requirement for, okay, last two slides. This is examples for some of the hospital CV requirement. They will ask, they put in like a marital status, or how many kids do you have. I don't know why they need to have that information in their CV, but that's required by the hospital. So obviously, even the CV requirements or for the contract requirements, they're quite different from the like Australia. For Australia, we just need to put on our grant budget table to be in the appendix. That's enough. But for Taiwan, for different hospital, maybe because the financial requirement, they need to fit in the different budget table to make their finance people easier to understand. That really consume a lot of time. That will just, if you can standardize all those process or template, they will definitely, facilitate the startup or to attract the people, attract the sponsor to place the clinical trial at your sites. And here I would like to say it's international platform. If you are a young site that you don't have so many exposure, it's very good to join the international platform like SCRS or like some Trinex or the other platform to have the exposure of your site to the sponsor. They will know, okay, you have the patient, then we will try to collaborate with you. And after a few days after I accept the invitation to give a talk about this topic. Yeah, as I mentioned, the things I did, I just typed the topic into Google. And I found the first report. It's done by Frost and Sullivan. They mentioned that actually nowadays, Asia is a preferred destination for clinical trial. Why the reason is resource and capability, worldwide data acceptability, and the cost efficiencies. So if you're interested, you can just go to Google and type our topic. That will come out the first one. So basically, if you aside can have a very quick startup and have a very high recruitment and quality is very good, and all the system or the template has been standardized, I do believe you will achieve that. That will be the preferred destination for the sponsor. Thank you.
Introduce Kathy Lai. Kathy, she's an associate director for the clinical trial management from MedPace. And Kathy has more than 16 years of clinical research experience in APAC region. She's dedicated to promote clinical research sites as well as environment in Taiwan because she firmly believes that Taiwan can be and should be a top leader in clinical research area in this region. Please, Kathy.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining this meeting, and then especially spending your Sunday here. So, and then because Jimmy used 5 of my minutes, so I will try to speed up my talk. No problem at all. And then I will go through some of the the topics I will be sharing with you today is the strategic partnership with sites. And then what CRO or sponsor like Sanofi, when they are looking for a site for clinical study, habits for successful sites and action to become a preferred sites. And then the closing summary. Ooh, what happened? Oh, good, I have my notes here. So what the sponsor or CRO will be looking for, to partner with the sites. And I believe that Jimmy already, mentioned some of them. Is a very quick startup timeline, good enrollments, and then, high or very good quality data the site will be able to produce. No problem. And then site typically will be, considered as a preferred site because this slide is a bit redundant, but just to mention you the importance of those key points. So I will go to the next one because I think this one is better. And then so if you don't remember anything what I say, I hope that you can take back some of the points mentioned here on this slide. For the habits for effective research sites that, your site, if you want to consider your site is an effective clinical research site, maybe some of the tips here will help you. We want to find a site that is with a high researchable database. And then so if you do have if you do keep a good database, and then so once a sponsor or CRO goes to you, and then you will be able to pull out the data immediately, that will be very helpful. And then study coordinator will check with all those patient data, and then reviews those patients after the visits, and then study review those. Study will be reviewed at your maybe in the morning section. PIs will conduct the meetings with the site staffs, so that would help you understand the study status as well as the patient status. Site communicates with the patients and then regularly, either by phone, by email, by or line, whatever message that you keep the patients communicated or engaged for the study. And then site will establish the excellent relationship with the patients. And then this is very important because we heard in the morning the rapport with the patients. That is the key for the patient retention for the study as well. And then you will partners for the patient support group or advocacy group. And then this is the essential key, especially for those rare disease oncology groups, that you can find your patients from those groups. And then for the last one is probably not that frequently used in Taiwan. However, I know some of the countries, they do use the social media. And then they even post questions on those social medias, and then they will have someone response in a tiny manner. And then those are, those factors will help your site to become an effective research site. And then how to become a highest enrolling site. And then some of the key factors, we need to engage all the stakeholders. And then that includes the, not only the study team, but also the patients. And also, educate the whole site staffs working on the team as well as your patients. Let them know what the clinical study is all about. And then so that brings to the next is the communicate. Communication is very important. You want to make the clinical trial transparent, and then also let them know what is the benefit for joining the clinical study, so that we will have those patients who are willing to enroll into the study. And then for this one, I also hope that you can remember it and then take it back and implement at your site. And then that is to share the recruitment best practice. And then we, because for a certain site, there could be different departments, doing different clinical study at the site. And then if you do have a CTC center, make sure you utilize it so that best practice for the recruitment can be shared, among those studies. And then you collect, historical data on your site performance across the different therapeutic areas, so that when there is a feasibility comes, you don't need to, go into that, or maybe I should say you have a readily available database that you can pull information out from there and then show to, the sponsor or the CRO. That's what you had performed in the previous similar therapeutic areas. So assess how your site can enhance during the, the study enrollment, and then identify patients already in practice, or you find those patients. If you don't have enough patient pool, don't worry. If you do have a good referral system, you can also find patients from the other sites as well to join the clinical study at your own site. So last but not least, is we use any kind of innovative recruitment tips or methods or ideas to help, to help boost or to help to have a good recruitment practice at your clinical studies. So here's, one of my last 2 slides is how to form a preferred relationship. And then this is something I hope that, because investigators are all very busy, so I hope this is something that if we do have staffs or, colleagues from CTC Center or even sites, because we need your support to help boost clinical studies at your own site. So that's what, the CTC Center or site staff can do. Increase your communication with the sponsor team. You have a good, or direct communication with those sponsors or CROs. And then that is because by building relationship, you will know, once they have a study, they will, they will know what you are good at, what this site is good at what therapeutic area, at what disease area your sites are good at. You have the right patient pool, you have the right resource, everything. And then they will think of you. And then so you either want to set up a face-to-face if they want to visit you, give them the opportunity to visit you, spare time to talk with them, or webinar meetings with them. So to discuss the site capability, what site can do, what site can contribute in clinical study. And then show them the metrics, so that they know what your site is able to offer. Make sure they align, with the study team pipeline. That is, by knowing what you are good at, and then if this sponsor is looking at this therapeutic area, this indication, okay, your site probably will be the good fit for this clinical study. And then so the last one is just a monthly recruitment call to discuss the opportunity. That is, if your site as well as the sponsor or CRO would like to have that monthly call to discuss their feasibility opportunities. So here's a suggested metrics that you can use. That is what I say, you collect those information on hand. Whenever there's an opportunity, you just show them. And then that really, really can demonstrate that what you can bring for the clinical study. So therapeutic area or experience, investigator database, the manpower, the resource, if you do have those adequately, sufficiently at your site, you want to show to the sponsor or CRO that you are, you have come to the right place. And then these 3, the last 3, here, actually we'll talk the whole morning throughout this afternoon, quick startup timeline, enrollment, retention status, and then, the data quality. If you are good at these 3, and then you can show them, by metrics or even by data. Like I mentioned here, the audit inspection results, you show them, I have done so many studies, and then I have gone through so many different audits, inspections, no 483 form received, or no, audit finding, major audit findings. So those are good metrics that you can show to the sponsor or CRO. And then that would help you to promote your site to be a preferred site or the site of choice. I think what we are here, on this beautiful Sunday, is try to promote the clinical study, sites, not only for Taiwan, but also for your own sites. So maybe invest a little bit time on developing some of those metrics so that you can, have a showcase for the sponsors or CROs when they come to you. Oops. So quick summary. Yep, I believe my time is up. So high quality metrics that you can prepare. If you do have a quick startup, that is a very important one. Sponsor CROs all like to see that. High level of recruitment, you can let them know, within certain months, and then I achieve, or my site achieve, the recruitment. Good quality data and provide timely and complete feedback on feasibility. I want to say this is kind of time consuming, but however, if you do have a preferred partnership with the CRO or sponsor, maybe some of the tedious or repetitive information can be omitted from the feasibility questionnaire. So that is something you can work with the sponsor or CRO on that. However, we do, sponsor CRO all appreciate your feedback on the feasibility, because only the data on the feasibility can help us decide whether to choose the site to participate in the study or not. So, by promoting those metrics and then engage study teams, you will become the site of choice. Thank you. That is all from me.
Thank you, Katie. So the last speaker of today is Professor Chong Hui Lai. Professor Lai is the Vice Superintendent from Changeng Memorial Hospital, the Linkou branch. She obtained her medical degree from NTH Medical School, and she did her postgraduate research on gynecologic oncology in two very famous US university, Columbia University and Yale University. And currently, Professor Lai is in charge of the, not sure if the translation is correct, but Gynecology Oncology Research Center. And she's at the same time also the president of Asian Gynecology Oncology Group. Thank you. Please.
Thank you for your kind introduction. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Su and SCRS for inviting me to share our infrastructure and the work we're doing to make us to be the first choice of your sites. As you know, Changeng Memorial Hospital is the largest medical system in Taiwan. We have 7 hospitals, and the outpatient clinic a year is 7 million, and inpatient is 250,000 patients a year. The Clinical Trial Center is established in 2009. We established this center to foster the growth of clinical research with new therapeutic discovery and validation. And we received grant from the Minister of Health and Welfare since 2010 till present. And Changeng Medical Foundation give matching fund very generously. And with the highest ethical and scientific standards, we want to offer all the industry and academic collaboration center and our own inside customer, the PI, to do PI-initiated study in a pragmatic and cost-effective manner. And our mission is to facilitate communication between industry and hospital investigator to provide infrastructure to conduct clinical research, either industry-sponsored or PI-initiated trial. And this is our infrastructure. We have the trial administration office, the informatics unit, the statistical unit, the clinical trial pharmacy unit, and trial tissue banking unit. And this administration office would do auditing, monitoring. Monitoring is for the PI-initiated study, and auditing is for the organization. And it is under the Data and Safety Monitoring Board, independent committee to oversight all the trials are conducted in a GCP competent way and ensure the quality. And also, we have this protocol review committee to assist the young investigator to do protocol design, and also the domestic pharma. If they're not very experienced in those drug development and the disease, and our investigator will work with them, and this is our very good human resources. And also, we would like to offer a global team to service all the international sponsor or CRO. And we have this Joint Commission international accreditation. And we also have the AHARP accreditation. And we started with partnership with Novartis first, then again Renew, and GSK, MSD, Roche, Amgen, BMS, Oncology, and we have internal and external partner and multi-center trial group and the major university in the United States collaboration in many ways. And we have around 400 new trial initiated a year, and we do pre-study service, and those are calculation, negotiation of internal, external budget, and communication with the funding agency, all the initial study administration, and contract negotiation follow-up, and passage of the administration system. And for the regulatory service, we also assist the draft of IRB submission, consent form, the protocol tracking through the IRB, assist draft response to IRB query until full committee approval, and collection of all regulatory documents, maintenance of regulatory binder, and assist preparation for IRB audits and governmental inspection. And the CDC monitor group have a routine monitoring, and the IRB is for cause. The study service, we provide full study coordination and one-stop shopping. And we coordinate specimen preparation, processing, shipping, clinical space for study visit, storage of laboratory supply, and regulatory meeting with regular meeting with investigator and designated person for the study update. And if there's low recruitment, we would discuss with the investigator how to improve that. And also a monthly administration reconciliation of financial statement and management of contract payment and receivables. And the infrastructure, we have a phase 1 unit for 8 beds at the pathology building, 13th floor. And we have a clinical trial, outpatient clinic, and daycare therapy unit, and it's on the 3rd floor. And this is the growth of our early phase trial. And the space for study visit, I have said that we have the first 1 unit, and also the outpatient and daycare center. But some of the investigators still want to have those study visits in their own department, and that's flexible, and we will see the space and logistic to make those trial possible. And this is the trial clinic, and we have a monitoring space, and the daycare and therapy center, and we have very good clinical trial pharmacy, facility and SOP. And this is the setting. And we have our own informatics system, and those are conform not only to the TFDA, also the US FDA regulation. And we are trying to integrate the data management system, the laboratory management system, and our EMR. And this is our previous design, but now we're working on have our own to integrate, including the molecular imaging and the others. And will be presented in early September. I think this CD is arranged the meeting, and we are having a very good biostatistic unit, and you can search for the patient pool using your inclusion and exclusion criteria. They will tell you the exact patient pool, because the PI, to their knowledge, that will be very inaccurate. And we have also the sample size randomization. Every thing you have to consider for conduct a clinical trial. And this is the tissue banking unit. And this is the growth of over the years. And we are very emphasize on the education for subject. We have at least two meeting every year. And question and discussion.
I think people are getting a little bit tired.
I think it's a good opportunity that if you're not satisfied with the service of our clinical trial center, just complain here.
Yes, Shirley has a question.
Yes, I think I have just have one. Here today we hear a lot of discussions about how good Taiwan's site is, and so we see a lot of valuable metrics and data to show the performance. And just would like to have questions to Professor Lai. That's in this big Chang'e Memorial Hospital. Is there any mechanism to present or to show up how good the performance to, I mean, in media or in website, whatever? Because my job is to search the data from worldwide in different countries to look for sufficient evidence to support the decision about site selection. Therefore, currently we have database like Cycline or KMR to collect from different sources. So I'm thinking of that's how to promote Taiwan. So in this case, that Taiwanese site have very good data. When I Google and try to link into the website for each CTC, and we see some metrics, some performance data, and just would like to dig more about that. What's the mechanism, how often this kind of data being updated, being presented, and what kind of successful stories being posted in this website, look through this channel. And also like we can easily search and catch all this kind of information that can be used to support the selection of site?
I think you're quite hit to the point. We have been devoted to the work to make the trial quality good, but for advertisement or public awareness, I think that's our weakness, and we would try to do it as soon as we can. And we are going to put up a worldwide web, Changde Memorial Hospital. You get in and you can search the clinical trial active in the hospital.
Well, I think Professor Lai may not like to say how good she and her center is, but let others speak for her. I think the numbers show. You know, Changde Memorial Healthcare System is the largest with 10,000 beds. I think this is bigger than probably the largest healthcare system in the U.S. as well. 10,000 beds. That's a very big. So it's a very resourceful and with the foundation, and also has a very big support from the Ministry of Health. So this is difficult to match. I think probably let's just use Professor Lai's gynecological oncology clinical research. That's probably the best in the world. Anyone would like to challenge? So this is and I think the two other speakers also have present their outstanding records and achievements as well. Anyone would like to challenge? This is among the best in the world.
Thank you, Professor Shi. I think as Asian, I think this is probably something that is a little bit, we are more subdued. We don't do a lot of self-advertisement and whatnot. But I think in today's world, it's needed because, everyone Google. So including, big company, even Shirley was actually saying that a lot of pharma company, CROs, we pay a lot of money each year and we subscribe to different source of external intelligence platform. But at the end of the day, whatever most accurate information would be coming from the source of the sites. So how you advertise and what you are listing, it will be most accurate in terms of what we know, what you have achieved. So if you help yourself to help us, I think that would be wonderful, really. So we still have time. More questions?
I have a question, and then Karis can ask. And my question's for industry, because this is a question I hear from my time of industry, and I often hear this around the globe, and I suspect the same questions are here. If I'm conducting a study with your companies in a specific therapeutic area, what is the best way, if I conduct studies across many therapeutic areas, but with your company it's just this one, what is the best way for me to be considered for other therapeutic areas? Who do I contact? What is the best route of communication to let you know that I'm interested in not only this therapeutic area, but these other therapeutic areas as well?
Yeah, I think most of the companies will have, a business development department, BD, team, and then those team members at that department can be contacted, and then because they will be in charge of all the business they bring into companies. So whatever therapeutic areas a CRO or sponsors will be interested to, they will be the first contact point to reach out to. I don't know if that answered your question.
It does.
Okay. And then maybe.
Yeah, I think basically we have the dedicated feasibility person. I think that will be the good contact person with. And also I think very soon for Sanofi we are going to launch a new position called Site Partnership Manager, which means it maybe it's similar to a site alliance. Like when we try to develop a relationship with the sites, it's not only for a specific therapeutic area, but it's like what you can do. This site, what the site can do, and can just let us know. Then we will see what therapeutic area in the future we can collaborate with.
I would like to respond to
There you go.
Dan about your question. I think you may not be in the best position to speak how well you are, but I can say how great the speakers have presented. I think we have a very strong healthcare foundation, and this is a national health insurance. Just based on this big data, we are into the big data era. New England Journal of Medicine have very detailed commentary about real world data, real world evidence. Because the bottom line is after multi-center trial, you are going to apply to the whole world. And we needed to use a real world practice outcome as the bottom line evidence. So this is happening. And we have the national health insurance, the big data. That's the real world evidence. How many papers we have published used on the big healthcare data? More than 4,800 papers. And recently there was a paper published in JAMA. So we have a very solid data published in many in the high impact journals. So those publications reflect Taiwan has a high level of healthcare. So it's in a great foundation for SCRS to consider we are loyal and good cooperative partner with the SCRS. So make a Taiwan part of the global SCRS network. So, and the three speakers here are the representative among the best in Taiwan. So the clinical trials we can do.
I think we have time for a couple more questions. Thank you.
So before I ask my question, I would like to answer Dan's question because there is one more approach for site selection. So just like the previous speaker mentioned, we have a clinical trial consortium, but they are not only covering 12 therapeutic area. Actually, outside of the 12 therapeutic area, you still can seek for the support from clinical trial consortium. They can provide some potential site list to you. And my question is for Professor Lai. Because as I know, as we all know, actually for Chang'e Memorial Hospital, you have a very, very big patient pool, and also with several branch hospital. But we still can see some challenge when we conduct clinical trial at Chang'an Memorial Hospital. So there is one we mentioned before. It's about the space, but we also can see actually if we are talking about Taoyuan branch hospital, actually they have a lot of space. Can be used for conducting clinical trial. So my question is, how can we consider to leverage the resources between different branch hospital to benefit our clinical trial execution?
The contract in Chang'an Memorial Hospital, any one of the branch hospital have go through the legal department and have a agreement signed. All the other side can base on the same template to sign the contract. And also, we have good communication with the clinical trial center of the other branch hospital. And not every branch hospital is the same size. The second one is Kaohsiung, is around half the size of the Linkou branch. And the Taoyuan branch has just been approved to be a regional hospital that can, teaching hospital that can conduct clinical trial last year. And also we have to allocate our investigator to there because everyone wants to stay where they were. Therefore, we have to relocate them. Oh, we have better space here, and we have this trial will be initiated, and you will be the investigator. Would you like to go there to Taoyuan Branch Hospital? And we are trying to do such arrangement to have this allocation of spaces in a more efficient way.
We have time for one last question. One more question before we wrap up the day. Anybody? Okay, so maybe I'll
I
ask.
would like to add one more point. This is about FDA. I think the bottom line, we go back to FDA. If the US FDA approved, I think it would have become the worldwide guidance, concerning the safety and the efficacy of a new therapeutic or a new device. Again, FDA, if we would go to the web page, FDA now is also moving toward the big data. They are also looking at the big data to go beyond the multi-center clinical trial, to use the big data to establish the solid evidence. So I think for us, beyond the clinical trials, we needed to think about the big data. And this is, in this regard, in Taiwan, we are better than the US. US have a very fragmented healthcare system. People go to different health insurance companies for health care. And in the US, about 50 million without insurance. Obamacare has taken care of some of this without insurance, but President Trump took it away step by step. So compared to the US, Taiwan is in a stronger position to do the clinical trial, high quality, low cost. So all the companies think about Taiwan.
Thank you.
And I would like to respond to Professor Su because I chair the Drug Advisory Committee of TFDA. We are now considering real-world data. We will and welcome the challenge. And also for drug approval, those new chemical entity, biologic, those if they are approved in the US or the EMA, would be considered, but not automatically pass through. But if both entities have approved, there's no discussion, they just sign off. And even don't have any, but you do the trial here from phase 1, and you have a lot of data to support that. We have approved 3 drugs in the earliest in the world. And please, everyone, investigator or the pharma, don't hesitate. The TFDA are considering any good proposal to have the drug approved.
Thank you very much, Professor Lai. Yes, Kathy.
Yeah, I have just one comment to make because I heard people talking about investigator shortage or even investigator gap, and I think it's the responsibility of the PI to train up the next generation. So I urge not only for CTC Center to set up investigator database and also realizing whether those younger physicians are being brought up, especially if you are the PI in the trials that you are supposed to find young investigators, physicians to be the co-investigator or sub-investigator for your study, so that they can have the exposure for the clinical study, and then maybe their interest will be brought up through participating in the clinical study. I think we really need to pay attention to this area, otherwise the gap will be bigger and bigger.
Among the leaders of the clinical trial sites in this meeting, I hope if you have not joined the SCRS, I think this meeting will show so many of you are qualified to be SCRS members and to join SCRS to be at the international level. I think we should let our SCRS leader, Vice President Dan Millen, you make the
Thank you.
comment.
First, I want to can we thank these speakers for being part? Thank you, Professor Su, for inviting us here and your team for planning such a great event. Thank you for everyone for attending. As Professor Su said, and many of these topics that were discussed are topics that are important to SCRS and that we talk to industry about every day, about how we can help sites to improve sites, to improve how sites conduct studies, find studies, quality, and find patients and recruitment, every aspect of the trial. So again, thank you for attending today, and I look forward to hearing from you over the next few months and years. And with that, thank you for coming, and I wish you a great rest of the day. Thank you.